without talking to each other.
Right.
Years.
Mhm.
Like, and I do think that both of me and you are unique in where we could literally not see each other for 3 years and pick up exactly where we left off. We have that
100%.
ability. And for all my friends out there, or people that are looking to understand me, that's who I am. That's part of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Is if I have a bond with you, it doesn't go away just because I don't talk to you.
Yeah.
That's the other part I want people to know, is it doesn't change the way I've ever felt about any of you.
Right.
Or anyone in my life.
Mm-hmm.
There's people right now, as we speak, that I have not spoken a word to in 10 years. And
Mm-hmm.
I care about those people the same exact way as I did the last time I talked to them 10 years
Yeah.
ago.
100%. 100%.
And they don't know that.
Right. Right. And you know, like, to the outside world, right? I know that I portray this image of the I don't care. I do care. I do care. To the core, I care. Like, I want to know what's happening in your life. I want to know what's you know where you went yesterday, right? Because I want to know. But at the same time, I don't know how to engage in that small talk manner. And yes, you can say, well, we don't have to have small talk if we can have a conversation on a regular basis. I'm sorry, that's draining to me. But it doesn't mean that I don't love you. It doesn't mean that I don't care about you. It's just the fact that that is part of me that I've learned to accept. And I'm trying to educate people on what it is. And I know that that sounds kind of asshole-ish, because I'm basically saying, like, well, it allows you to be a particular way, but we have to adjust to you. In some aspects, yes, it does. But in other aspects, I'm also asking you to tell me what it is that you need, so that I can learn how to adjust that accordingly, how to make it happen, how to connect with you at that level, right? But I know that in the past I have been that person that just seems like I disconnect, don't care, don't want to engage, don't want to, be in a particular place, and there are also times where, like, you invite me to things, I'm happy you invite me. Truly.
I
I
may not
love
be
it.
able to go.
I love it. I love it when you invite me, right? Like, and again, the shitty side of me goes, well, I'm not gonna go. I'm probably not gonna go, right? Like, I just don't know, right? And again, like, it's because of the fact that, like, my mind goes through 90 billion scenarios, right? For example, if you say to me, hey Nelson, let's go to dinner next Wednesday, right? My first thought goes, well, does Alex have a game? Does Izzy have Ariel? Did I commit to doing anything for baseball? Did I commit to work? Did I commit to going anywhere? Was I supposed to pick up groceries? Was I supposed to do that? I don't know if I have any of those things. I don't know if, like, the end of the world is near. I don't know, right? Because it could happen.
Hang on, I have to check with, in my case, Lacey, or in your case, Nicole, because
Right.
I feel like no matter how irresponsible with planning they are the planners of my life.
Right, exactly. So then it gets exactly. So then it gets to that point where, like, then I say, like, in my heart, and it doesn't happen all the time, so don't think that I'm a dick all the time. But in my heart, I know I'm not gonna go because I don't know the events. So I'm either left with the option of letting you down now or letting you down later. And my shitty brain goes, well, it's a 51% chance that I may go because nothing's on the schedule, or there's a 49% chance that I won't go. Okay, probabilities are in my favor. I'm going to go with that one. And then it ends up happening that the day comes around and then I go, fuck, nope, I didn't have this done. Or I go, fuck, I've done so much this week. I just need a day to disconnect. And then I don't go. So it's not the fact that I have a problem with you, because it's not a problem with you. I would love to hang out with you. I'd love to see you. If I could clone myself and send the happier side of me, I'd be happy to do that. But I can't. And I know. And the other thing is that, like, I also know that I'm going to be a shitty time when I get there. I know that.
And then also, on top of everything that you're saying, I will have guilt about that for days after. Like, I will beat myself up about that for literally weeks.
Same
to
here.
the point where it will force me to commit to something else with you to try to make up for it, and then I will also drop the ball on that.
You nailed it, man. That's and that cycle continues, right? That cycle continues, and again, I don't know how to deal with it.
There's a quick piece that I wanted to just talk about because you said something and it sparked something in my head. So right along with that, when somebody has given me a suggestion of what to do in my life, I've always agreed and said I was going to do it. And probably 2% of the time have I actually done it. I think that is changing about both of us.
Yes.
Earlier on in the podcast, we talked about golf. And then I told you that you should try to make it a point to go have that 1 hour, 2 hours of alone time, or just you and Alex or whoever, and just go play golf. It's a freeing experience. And you said right there on the podcast you were going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Nelson 6 months ago would have said, I'm going to do it, and then just never done it. Because you just could never work it in, and then it becomes unimportant.
Yes.
You did it today.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, and I want you to know that being able to see that without you articulating that to me that means something to me. And I hope you got something out of it. If nothing else, the want to go do it again.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, and that's the thing that like we want you, because in every episode, right, we always throw in like things that we've learned. We want to continue that because to me, I'm learning every day. I'm learning about myself. I don't even know. Like I joked in one of the episodes where like Brandon said, like, well, he doesn't know anybody in his neighborhood. And I said, like, shit, I don't even know you. Right. Like, and like, yeah, it's true. Like I know Brandon, but I don't know Brandon at this level. Right. Like these are the type of things that like,
we're learning things about each other every time.
We are learning things about each other. And again, it's because we're doing this thing where we're testing the levels of engagement, right, between us, right, where you're throwing the bullshit that you normally don't show everybody else, because like everybody has a certain level of bullshit that they show, right? Everybody has that. But then there's like the second tier bullshit, right? That's the one that includes like, random shit like I like to talk on the phone when I'm on the shitter, right? That's the type of level 2 shit I'm talking about.
Or the fact that you do like super fat shit sometimes and eat Doritos with cream cheese.
Exactly. Yeah. Dead on. Okay. So we all have that first level of bullshit. So we all have that first level of bullshit, right? The second level is the one that we normally don't share with anybody else. So Brandon and I are sharing some of those second level things with each other, right? And some we're doing it here. Like we don't talk about it.
You guys.
Yeah, in front of all you guys. Like we just end up going like, like my brain spits it out, and then halfway through, I'm like, I said that. And then I go, fuck, I said that. And then my brain goes, you said that. And then my brain continues to go, fuck, you said that. And then
but then I get a comfortability out of it.
Exactly. Then I end the episode, right? Because I go through the learning part that we talk about at the end, right? And through the learning part, I go, you know what? Through this episode, I learned that I'm not afraid of this, right? Which is the thing that I was afraid back when I said it earlier. So through that process, I'm learning to accept these things. I'm learning to accept the things that I cannot change. I'm learning, right? So, and yes, you guys are going to say, well, motherfucker, are you dumb? Like you can edit the video and remove that. No, I don't want to do that. Why should
Guys,
I?
We barely edit the video.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
why?
Barely.
Right. We edit enough because we're still not sure if the rest of the world is ready for the level 2 bullshit. Right. But we're going to get there.
But I challenge anybody to go back and look through any of our videos and really find where it feels chopped.
Right. Yeah.
Because it doesn't. And that's something that we care about very deeply is just letting it be what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And exactly. Because earlier on, we said that we wanted you to grow with us. And we mean that. We mean that.
Right.
Grow, like fucking grow with us means like fucking help us out, get our views up, get our subscribers up. It means like watch our shit.
Get the message out to other people.
But also grow with us means Fucking learn from us. Learn through things that like we are doing, or maybe things that we're not doing, right? And teach us as well. Throw it in the comments. Tell us things that we could do as well. Even tell us if this shit is even helpful to you, right? Or you could even say that the shit is boring. It those are the type of things that it's okay for you to say. You have an opinion, right? You have that's the beauty of us being able to communicate. We're never going to agree on the same thing. We're not, right? We will agree on certain aspects of said thing, right? And we will get to a middle point, right? But there's certain things that it's okay for you to have an opinion on. If you think that I am the shittiest person, if you think that I am like just fucking boring and idiot, all that stuff, then go find something else to listen to, right? But if you find that like there is a piece of me that you're interested in because either I'm a train wreck or because of the fact that like I'm willing to share this side of me, then fucking hop on board. Let's go.
Right.
Go on the ride.
And dude, like knowing that people are doing it, like that are coming along for the ride.
Right. Right.
Like part of me is very self-doubtful, right? Like I never have a hugely positive outlook about myself to myself.
Right.
I'm always super judgmental against myself, and in turn it makes me feel like everybody else is too. But as we are recording this right now, there's 34 people that liked what we put out enough to have their YouTube tell them that. They've subscribed to what we do. I don't know that I could count 34 people that I know on one, like in one sitting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the feeling behind that. And like, guys, this episode, like what we're doing here is meant to be a in the beginning kind of thing. I still feel like we're in the beginning, but I never thought that there was going to be that many people that would actually give a shit what I have to say.
Right. Yeah.
And the fact that there's even that many people, some of you might look at me like, 34, like who gives a shit? Like I do. I care if one other person here wants to hear what I have to say. Because it validates me. It validates my feelings. It validates who I am. It validates that what I'm doing is the right direction to be working on.
And it validates that you're human, man.
Right.
Like it validates that like you don't know everything. That's what Dad Band Dude is. Like we're dads, we don't know what to do. Right? Like we're figuring that shit out as we go. There are things
nobody wrote the book. And even the guy who did write the book, supposedly, it doesn't apply to everybody the same way, man.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
There is a certain amount of, with the kids and stuff like that. I have the instincts to, okay, we got to make sure they don't, we got to feed them. We got to
like keep them alive.
But like, dude, life didn't prepare me to have an 18-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter. Like not.
Right.
Nobody told me how to do that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like these are things that like, again, my entire life has been in a place where, and this is me, right? Like, I think my anxiety has done that to me, right? And it's not to excuse everything that I do on my anxiety. That's not the case. There are things that I do because I'm a fucking idiot and I just want to fuck around and, do dumb shit, right? But I lost my train of thought there.
And guys, this happens to us too, is we have so many thoughts going through our head at any given moment to try to catch the conversation because we want it to keep progressing so hard that we get so many things going at once that occasionally we lose one.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And I think we do a good job of kind of not editing that out. Like,
yeah,
because that's how life works.
And dead on. And this is where, again, I want you to see my side of my brain as well, right? Like I'm not perfect. So right now, like I'm listening to Brandon, and then I finally came back to what I was saying, which was allowing anxiety to take over and give a reason for why it is that I am what I am. So, and anxiety is not a reason for who I am. I've adjusted things in my life to complement my anxiety. And there are things that I've learned how to put forward or adjust or avoid in order to circumvent the feeling of being anxious, right? Although I'm anxious all the time. So
They call
there
those
are,
defense mechanisms, buddy.
thank you. Yes.
Let's just
No, let's yeah.
let's keep it palatable.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, so
Sorry. We
those
also are assholes to each other.
absolutely, absolutely.
I just
But
wanted to
that's
prove that is like that's me as a friend saying, "Hey, asshole, just say that it's a defense mechanism."
right. And
Like,
that
but
is our friendship. That
right,
is the type of
it's who
level
we've been
again.
since day one.
Exactly. So, for me, like I've definitely developed these defense mechanisms that I end up like, sometimes they overtake me, sometimes they do. And I'm learning how not to let them overtake me. I'm actually learning how to explain what I go through with the anxiety so that you can have an understanding of what it's like. And again, like there's certain things that I do that are not related to anxiety, right? So there are things that I do because again, I'm not a shitty person, like that I do because I just suck. But there are things that I do because that's what I've taught myself to do, right? Earlier on, I brought up the fact that I tend to disappear, avoid people, all this other stuff. That's real. I'm learning to not do that. I'm learning to, step out and make myself vulnerable. Like the thing is that I've learned, right, that I have to let pain go, but I was never taught, or I never taught myself to feel the pain so I can let it go, right? So then what ends up happening is that like I end up absorbing all this pain, right? And like it just like keeps filling me up. And then all of a sudden, I make myself a cup of coffee and I spill it. That right there ruins my entire life. And everything that I've been holding on to spills over, right? That is the part that I'm learning how to adjust when it happens, right? So at that moment that I'm having that feeling where I'm either like insecure or I'm having like, you know, issues where I feel like somebody hurt me or I feel that somebody said something that wasn't appropriate. Like instead of dwelling on it, I'm bringing it up to the forefront and I'm trying to. And I'm also, I know that I'm not perfect in that. There's times that I brought up shit, right? I think I've done it to you, where I brought up shit and it sounds like I'm being a dick, but I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just don't know how to convey it. So, like, I want you to understand that for people like us with anxiety, that is a very difficult thing to navigate through. And it's not because we don't want to, it's because we don't know how. Like, and it's a physical thing. It's not like it comes from your mind, but it's a physical feeling that just takes over you and you're just like, I don't know. Like for me, one of the biggest things is being late to stuff. I would rather miss the entire thing than be late. And that's ridiculous.
But I gotta say, like the way I feel a lot of times is I always have like how people say they have like the angel and the devil sitting on their shoulders telling them to do bad stuff or good stuff or yes and no, blah 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 blah.
Sure.
Well, I always feel like I have an anxiety version of me sitting on my shoulder trying to talk me out of doing absolutely everything that I need to do.
Yeah.
And that's a very real thing for me. I mean, like, even as much as stuff that I have to do,
Mm-hmm.
like that I need to do, that little voice on the left side of me goes, "You don't have to do it now. It's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just go zone out and play video games instead?"
Right. Yes.
And then on the flip side, I have the uber responsible side of me that is like, people depend on me to do these things, so I need to do them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like I have two sides of myself constantly fighting each other just to exist in the
Mm-hmm.
world.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've never been like diagnosed with anything other than ADD in my life as far as mental stuff. Maybe that is, diagnosable anxiety for that reason. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. But some of the stuff that I figured out on how to deal with it, just some of the little things, I've never been good at them until now.
Right. Yeah.
I've never had that feeling of, fuck, I figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
I figured out what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking from the littlest piece
Right.
to a life-changing portion.
Yeah.
And I feel like this has given me that. And that's something that, man, like I can't explain how important that is to me.
No, absolutely.
And that's why, like, I know I was talking about how many people and stuff like that. I don't care if nobody else subscribes to this ever again. I'm not going to stop doing it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That is the burning motivation to that for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that a lot of people that watch our content might see this as a completely different side, almost shocking, because we literally crack jokes the entire time. It's like on the podcast, we're like comedians, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't mean any disrespect by calling ourselves comedians, because comedians actually they put in a shit ton of effort into their craft, right? I feel like we're guys that are just funny, that we're learning an outlet for it.
Yes. Yes.
So let me rephrase that, because it truthfully is important to me, because I love comedy for what it is. But if you look deep inside of those people that are able to be that funny, is because they are just as fucked up or more fucked up than we are.
Right. Right. Right.
And they're
Yeah.
having these arguments inside their heads, which when their outlet for it becomes laughter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what's truthfully, like, my journey in doing this and having it be funny is important to me, because it allows the opposition to happen,
Yes.
which takes that weight off of my chest.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
then it's that outlet where you get up and you feel like you let something go.
Yes.
And I have never found another way to do that.
Right. No.
I've found a way to disconnect. Don't get
Mm-hmm.
me wrong, because that's the only thing that's worked for me up until now.
Mm-hmm.
The disconnection of my negative side inside my head, in my brain. There's a few things in life that have come along that allow me to disconnect from that. And no, I'm not talking about like mind altering drugs or anything like that. I'm talking about, like, golf is one of those things that allows me to think about absolutely nothing but what I'm doing right then, and the fact that I'm having fun doing it.
Right. Right.
Fishing is another thing that I know it has been a huge thing in my life. It's like I'm able to shut my brain off when I do those things.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the very first thing where I don't have to shut my brain off in order to achieve my goal, which is an outlet.
Right.
If anything, it turns up the power to my brain and allows me to think about things in such a way that I can't even explain it, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like a night and day difference from what my day-to-day brain does. And then as soon as we start texting each other, like, hey, what time are we getting on? Whatever. It's like, bam, light bulb. Okay, I'm thinking about this. It like wakes me up. It activates my brain in such a way that it's like, okay, you're free from everything else. Let's do this.
Yes. Yes. No, dude, you nailed it. Everything that you just said right there, it is spot on, 100%.
And
Like,
it's a first for me. It
mm-hmm.
really is. And it's like that thing there. Once you figure it out, like, I have an even further respect from all the comedians that I've watched and followed over the years.
100%. 100%.
I've actually, in the last couple of months, been able to compare. I don't want to say compare myself, because I don't think I'm nearly as funny as half of the people that I pay attention to. In fact, half the time I feel like I'm just being stupid and it's not really that funny, but I find it hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to take anything away from them, and I'm not claiming to be somebody that I'm not. But I respect what they do, and I'm glad that enough of them have opened up about that to let me know that it might be a possibility for me.
Exactly. And that is what I want to do with this as well, right? I want to make it a possibility for somebody else to go, hey, this is what I am. Is there anybody else out there that's like me? And if not, maybe you can learn a couple pieces from my side so that you can take and try to see if you can build some of those relationships with some of the people that you felt you had have been disconnected from, right?
Right.
And I'm glad that you brought up the whole comedian thing, right? Because it is true. I definitely don't want to discredit comedians. Comedians are, I think, one of the best storytellers that exist.
They're some of the most underrated performers in general.
I 100% agree. 100% agree. So when I refer to us as comedians, is definitely what I feel like. If I had done the hard work, if I had put in the time, if I had,
if I had
put in
had
the
the
investment,
balls,
if I had
let's
the
be
balls,
honest.
yes,
Like,
yes, if
if I had had the
balls,
balls to stand up in front of people face to face and grind in nightclubs and little shithole bars and do all the work, like literally throw my life away and I don't mean that, like, none of them have thrown their life away, but they've put their entire life into it where I haven't even scratched the surface.
Right.
Like, I just want to be clear that I don't look at myself as being on that level as some of the people that I look up to, but I look up to those people for a reason.
Yeah.
It may be different reasons than y'all think. It's not the party lifestyle. It's not the money. It's not the anything. For me, I understand why you do it.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. Like, to me, I've always connected with comedy, right? Because of the fact that I felt that they were able to take their pain, twist it, and then spit it out to where it became digestible for people, and they could also give it a positive spin to the person that's going through the pain to say, hey, you're not the only one, right? So that's what we're doing with this.
Yeah,
right?
or they have the ability to capture a room and then take the temperature of the room and then throw out something crazy.
Right.
But it not come off as being terrible.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely.
And it may hit that one of those chords that's buried way, way deep in here for other people.
No, and that for us is exactly what we wanted out of this, right? And you'll hear through this whole thing that we keep calling it this or this thing, this series. And it's because we don't know what the fuck we're going to call it, right? This was something that, again, it just came from the heart. I mean, we wanted to share.
We also feel like, so we wanted you guys to be able to see and understand the feelings that we have. So in those short little times that I described earlier, where we talk for maybe 5 minutes before we record, we sound like kids talking about what we got for Christmas.
Yeah.
We sound like the bus ride the day after you come back from Christmas vacation on January 2nd of what I got for Christmas and what are we like that's there's an amount of adolescence that goes on to it, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that we talk about this thing like it is the coolest fucking thing that's ever happened to us.
Yeah.
And we want you to be able to see that. And we thought that maybe us really from the heart describing what this means to us, it will really give a better understanding long term of what we're doing here and why.
Yeah, dead on. Exactly. And again, right, like the thing is that this has evolved into us showing the different branches of us, right? This is one of the branches where we're showing you what it's like for us to
We're people.
Exactly. Like to show you what it's like to just be human. We are all imperfect. There's nobody in this world that's perfect, and that's okay. You know what? Like we just have to learn from each other. Like this whole thing with like the other thing that I really wanted to do was like, I really wanted to kind of show the side of me as well that I've never really talked about, that I experienced, right? Like, like we talk about being a poor kid, but we don't really talk about what poor means, right?
Right.
We also never talk about like what it means to walk everywhere, because not because you want to be healthy, but because you have to, right?
Right.
We don't talk about like what it's like to be an immigrant kid, right? That cannot play sports because their mom is afraid that INS is going to come in and take the kid, right? Or she's afraid that like they're going to take her away, right?
Right.
Like I don't talk about those things, right? Like I've never done that before, and it's because of the fact that I've learned to avoid the pain that brought me, right? But now I'm willing to share those stories with you, and that's the thing that we're going to talk about through this whole thing, right? Again, depending on what's going on in my life, but like those are some of the stories that I want to share. I want to get intimate at that level to share those things with you and say, this is why I am the way that I am, and these are the things that probably led me to be that way, right? And I'm giving it to you so that you can accept it, right? And I mean it, accept it in terms of receiving it, not accept it in terms of like, saying, yeah, I accept all that bullshit. No, like you basically receive that stuff and you go, okay, this was probably more than I signed up for. I'm probably never going to talk to you again. That's cool. That's fine, right? Like I'm okay with that, right? That's fine. You and I probably weren't meant to be friends. That's okay. If you go in there and you go, shit, okay, oh, fuck, damn, he has like a time period where he was a new kid in school like every fucking year. Fuck, that was me. Okay, yeah.
Right.
Let me listen to a story about that, right? That is what we want you guys to do. That is what we want you guys to engage us with, right? And we want to share those stories with you guys so that you can truly see what those things mean.
Right. And like, I mean, from my side, just kind of going through the process of my life, right? Growing up with a mom who was an alcoholic and a dad who was a drug addict, and having so much just chaos in my childhood. Um, I mean, dude, I was with a different family member. I felt like every other week. God bless my grandmother. She was always the constant rock for me. But at the same time, like everybody was trying to pitch in and help me be the best that I could be. But it it's one of those things where I feel like the more you say it out loud and talk to people about it and explain who you are and where you come from, you don't have to make excuses for how you got to where you are now. But
Right.
at the same time, it's almost enlightening of like, yeah, I see why you are that way now.
Right. Right.
Like, and I've always felt like people have never truthfully understood me because I've almost always had this wall up that says, "No, I'm good.
right. Yeah.
Things are fine."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I money's good. This is good, dude. I stress about money all the time. I stress about real life stuff. Like real life things have affected me, but I've always just trying to blow it off and be a tough guy.
No, and that
And
has been me as well, right? And
right, like we've always tried to prove, and I think maybe not always. I think, don't get me wrong, I think both of us have pushed for our families to never have to experience some of the things that we experienced as kids. But at the same time, which that in my opinion is a good thing, I've been able to provide for my children things that I couldn't even dream of. You
mhm.
know what I mean? But at the same time, on the flip side, I think I need to say it out loud and get it off my chest
Yeah,
and not carry that around as a crutch anymore.
no,
And I don't
absolutely.
need to hide it. I don't need to be okay all the time. Like, you know, unfortunately my mom passed, and for some reason, ever since we really started doing this, I had a lot of anger towards my mother when she passed away. But ever since we've really been talking, and this is so sidebar, but I miss my mom.
Mhm.
Like, and I haven't said that in a lot of years, and I haven't thought about it either
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
I buried it. I was
Yeah.
like, nah, fuck
Mm-hmm.
But now it's to the point where instead of looking at it as a negative thing, I'm taking the opportunity to explain who my mom was to my kids.
Right. Right.
And kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly, but I also want to focus on the good things that my mom gave me throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
She's the first person that truthfully had my back. That, yeah, she picked herself over me a lot of times, but I never worried that my mom wasn't going to answer the phone if I called her. You know what I mean? Like little stuff like that. Like I don't know how to finish the thought that I'm trying to get out right now. I'm kind of struggling for words. I think it's because I'm pretty emotional about the whole thing, but at the same time, the fact that I can talk about it on here of all places,
Mm-hmm.
like this isn't even a conversation that me and you have had one on one.
No.
Like,
No.
so like hear it here first, folks. Like I'm spilling the beans, like, but the ability to know that by me doing that, even seconds later, now that I said it out loud, I feel like it doesn't hurt as bad.
Right. Right.
And it doesn't have control over me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
crazy.
No, and that's where, like, we want you guys to, again, like, our stories may not be the same, right? Like,
Right.
my events in my life may have nothing to do with yours, right? You probably have never even dealt with, a situation where you had all Spanish speaking family members, right? And you had to translate for all of them at the age of 8, right? You probably didn't have that, right?
No.
That's okay, right? Like that doesn't make me a better person or you a better person, or it doesn't make us anything. We just had different experiences. So what we want you guys to do is to listen to some of these experiences, right? And then go, oh shit, that's how they felt, right? That's how they felt at that moment. Because we encourage you guys to also do this for yourselves, right? Brandon said it earlier. Like again, I'm preaching the things that I don't do, right? But at the same time, I'm also letting
But
you
that's
know,
how much these things mean to us now.
right?
Where
But
I don't believe that either one of us had a thought that this would turn into this.
No, at all.
Prior to us discussing it, and then even more so, we never discussed this being an emotional outlet for us.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And honestly, if we
Still
had
to this
discussed
day,
no,
still
dude,
right now, we have never discussed that this
right.
is an emotional outlet for us.
And honestly, like if you had like presented the thought, I probably would have said no. You know what I'm saying? Like because
You're like, nah,
because
man,
but
I'm
like
not into that.
right, I'm not into that. But the thing is that like we've evolved into this place now where like we're trying to explain those things. So then we want you guys to also do the same thing for yourselves, right? Again, with this whole thing, we're trying to share our story so then that way they could be something for you later on as well, right? And for you to like take that experience and be open about it. That's what I'm trying to do for myself as a human being is really taking the time to look at everything that has been around me and like understand it and try to put, not priorities, because I don't want to say priorities. I want to say more like I want to put them in order that my brain can easily see them. Right.
Correct.
And that's what I'm going through life is try to figure out what those things are and how they should sit. And I'm constantly moving those things around. Like they are constantly shifting, right? But then now I'm getting to this point in my life where the one thing that I've adjusted heavily my entire life has been me. And I'm done with that. Like that's where like I am done with adjusting. And I'm not saying I'm not going to adjust. Like if I hurt your feelings and I say something that I shouldn't have said, and like we have a discussion, and you're like, dude, you were a complete
There's
fucking
room
dick.
for hiccups.
Yeah, like I'm going to accept it and I'm going to learn from it. I'm not saying that I'm not learning from there, and I'm not saying I'm not changing from there. I'm saying that like there are core things to me that I've accepted as to things that I know that they are a part of who I am.
I think a big part of that, where I'll just piggyback right on top of it, is like I think both of us are coming to the realization that we are some of our experiences. Doesn't matter
Right.
whether they're good or bad. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. None of it matters. And then who am I to cheat anybody else out of who I actually am?
Right.
Because then am I being real?
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's almost stepping back and for the good, the bad, and the ugly,
Mm-hmm.
accepting who I am,
Mm-hmm.
and then be willing to let it go
Right.
and kind of be willing to let it out and be, proud of myself a little bit on certain things and, maybe call out my own bullshit on others.
Right. Right.
And
And
then,
there are going to be things that we say on here, right, that I'm probably going to say today that a month from today, I'm probably going to contradict that
true.
because I'm still evolving. I'm still learning, right? Like, so that's where, like, I want this to be organic as can be because I am learning through this process. I'm basically like what Brandon and I are trying to do is we're trying to show you what our evolution it looks like, right? And again, like I've had friends like, I'm speaking to you, Kevin. You've texted me. You've texted me, and I only called him out because he said he wanted to be called out. But I'm talking to you,
Big
Kevin.
ups to Kevin.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Shout out.
OG, triple OG.
um no, like like he basically said like, dude, you're going through a midlife crisis, right? Which is to me was fucking hilarious, right? um like I value
So,
that. I value that.
but hang on, because Kevin's saying, hey, you guys are going through midlife crises, right? Why is it that I feel like this is preventing me from going through a midlife crisis?
Exactly. that
Like,
that
it
is
is such an outlet for me. It feels like I don't need to worry about that.
right. That's the way that I feel about it as well, right? Like I'm 100% with you. So, to us, it's this thing that we wanted to keep it as organic as can be because we want you guys to see the growth. We want to show you the evolution, right? And
And
we
we
also,
plan on continuing to grow, guys. So like
yeah,
Nelson was saying, like some of the stuff that we will say today, we may contradict, but we may learn more about ourselves or a given situation or anything that's going to open our eyes to even another section that we never thought or knew about or realized about ourselves. Or
no,
I mean,
dude,
it could literally go on and forever, and I could go on about little specific details, but man, I have to say that regardless of anything, I'm just in a happy place right now.
me too.
And this is a huge part of that.
No, yeah, absolutely. This right here is part of what mental health should be like. Like you should be able to talk about the things that happen in your brain, and they may not be logical things. Like that's the thing. Like I have several thoughts during the day that they're illogical. I have thoughts in my head during the day where I go, "The fuck." Right? Like, did I think of that? Like there's a lot of things that I think about that surprise me, right? And some of them I've shared, some of them I don't. And some of them I completely like I'm not fucking crazy, right? Like I analyze what I'm thinking. So like, after I think about it and I go, well shit, it'd be cool like if I had like a bicycle that had a dildo seat on it. Like, no, that's not what I want, right? Like I think about that stuff. It's not like I'm just blurting it out, right? Like, so I want to convey that the thoughts that are coming out, yes, they are pure, but they're also thoughts that mean something. I'm not just
Right.
spitting shit out just to spit it out. Like, these are things that I
Indeed.
truly mean, and I ramble because they are truly things that I feel, because they're unscripted. There are things that just come to mind. So for us, that's what we want to convey with this. We want to show you what that image looks like. We want to teach you what it's like to deal with like the type of issues that we've dealt with. And again, there are different people out in the world that have dealt with different things. We'll talk about those experiences as well. And we may do it in a comedic side, right? When we're doing the regular DMD podcast, or we may do it through this one, which would be, more true, more in tune, more us, right? More serious, where you get that aspect as well. So, like we want to just share these different aspects of us through that platform.
Absolutely. And I feel like giving people a picture into both sides of it, um, more of the process, right, than the actual outcome,
Correct.
is what truthfully allows people to separate the topics or the material we discuss and the message behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like, and sometimes that's the most important. I mean, every single one of our podcasts, like you said, we talk about what we've learned.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always the individual things that taught us that. It's our reactions to it and our
Right.
lack of reaction to things, or
Right.
our overreaction to things, or our, hilarious distraction of those things at the same time. Like, it could be one of the above, man. And all I can say is, like, I really want people to see the total experience. I really want people to be able to look at, all right, let me pull some tools out of here. I might not be able to relate to anything they just talked about,
Right.
but I can give them a roadmap in
Right.
some way
Right.
of how to make it through life. Especially today, man. Like, I feel like it is, between all the things in the world, all of them, it's a rough place for a lot of people right now,
Mm-hmm.
mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And even some physically. Like, and anything that I can do to A, get myself to a better place, and then B, take people that I care about, and even random people, caring about other people
Right. Yeah.
is starting to be a huge thing. I've always had a caring bone in my body for other people. That's who I am. That's part of who I am. But I lost a little bit of that
Mm-hmm.
here and there.
No, absolutely.
You know,
I mean, like, one of the things that I'll give you a preview to, right? To one of the stories that, like, I want to talk about is that, well, one, this, even though we're saying that, like, we're open, we're opening up in this podcast, right? Or this project, in order for you guys to see this side of us. Like, this version of me has been pretty much like up and coming for, the past 2 or 3 years, honestly. Like, that's when,
right.
like, things started to really, like, change for me, and I started to really see certain things that I needed to do. I just didn't know how to do them, and I still don't know how to do them. I'm still kind of figuring those things out. But um through this aspect, through this journey, like, I want to have you guys also show me what it is that you're learning through the things that I'm telling you through this whole thing, right? And I want you guys to share your thoughts behind those things as well, right? Because I want to make, I want to understand, I want to learn, right? A lot of these things, like, like, again, we talked about things being organic. When we started this thing and we started the other podcast, we never talked about talking about what we learned. Never.
No,
That was
no.
just something that happened, right? And
It
then
was like, let's talk about all this cool shit.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then it
You
turned
know,
into that. It turned into
right?
that. And that was something that, for us, it became really important. So that's what we want to gather out of this whole thing. We want, like, consider this. You know how you guys see certain videos where, like, they always say, like, hey, get a six-pack ab in like 60 days, right? One, we're never going to have six-pack abs. That's
No.
the given. Number two, consider this video kind of like that, but for your mind, right? Like, for your mental health. Like, and we're not saying, hey, this is going to happen overnight. We're not saying it's going to happen in 60 days. We're not saying it's going to happen anywhere. And we're not even saying that this method will work for you. We're just sharing that this method worked
Something
for
that's worked
us.
for us.
Yes. And it's something that, like, it's possible. The possibilities are out there. I never thought I would find this again. You
No.
talked about the feeling before where you wake up and you're like, fuck yeah, want to do this? I didn't think that I would have it again. I mean, like, dude, I have
I was
not,
scared that I wasn't going to have it again.
no, dude, I have not touched a pencil, right? So I used to draw a lot back in the day. I have not touched a pencil in several years. Um, and I have after starting this podcast.
Yeah.
Because again, like, the creative juices started flowing, and also the passionate side of me started flowing, right? So I was more willing to open to those things. And then through that aspect, like, one of the other things that I used to do was that whenever I did a drawing, I would, like, tear it apart and throw it away, right? Like, and it's because of the fact that I didn't want people to bash something that was very personal to me.
Right.
And I'm doing that here. I'm basically saying, hey, bash me if you want. Like, this is what you get.
Not only that, but I encourage something that you said there that I'm glad you brought it up is I want to turn this into a community.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I what I mean by that is I want feedback. I
Mm-hmm.
want those same types of little lessons that you guys at home have been through. If there's some doctor that's listening that can explain why we've done some of the things that we've done, so I can learn more positive information and positive reinforcement to what I've been doing in my life and what I am doing in my life and how to come out the other side. Like, dude, I'm in this learning portion in my brain where I want it all.
Yeah.
I want all the knowledge. I want all the, and it doesn't, I don't mean that in a way of that's my only focus, but I want to know as much about myself as I possibly can to almost reinsure that I'm doing it right. I'm doing the
Mm-hmm.
right thing
Mm-hmm.
because you don't get a do-over. You don't get
Right.
to like we learn from everything that we do, but like if you just keep making mistakes the whole time until it's over, then it's over.
Right. Yes. Yes.
You don't get
Absolutely.
a restart button.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
not like playing video games, folks. Like it's
No.
it's definitely one of those things, man, that like I never expected this. But I'm also in love with the idea.
Oh, same here. No, no, no. I didn't expect this at all. And, like I want to continue doing this. And again, like we wanted to start this video because we wanted to kind of share this side of us. We wanted to share our journey. We wanted to share the things that are happening behind the scenes on how to get to that place, right? That we're trying to convey through these videos. But through this process, even just recording today, right? Through this whole thing, like I'm even hungry to continue telling you more stories,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Right. Like I even had to pause certain times. Like I even like had to leave a train of thought earlier on because I said I was going to share a story and then I kind of left it. And the reason is because like I want to share them on the next one
Right.
because they're
Because I
important. But
want and guys, I can tell you with a brutal honesty right now. I have no idea how long we've been recording right now, and I
yeah, I
don't
have no
really
idea.
care.
I have no idea
But
either.
I can tell you that there are hours, hours more of
Absolutely.
things that we could touch base on and really pull out of this and really kind of show you the why behind it. That's another thing that I think has um, sparked my interest is really explaining the why behind certain things that I do.
Yes. Yes.
You
No.
know, and for everybody, for everything in my life,
Mm-hmm.
even to myself,
Yep.
like, okay, that's what you'd normally do. Why would you do that?
No, you're dead
And
on,
this
man.
is kind of finding me leading me down that path. So
Mm-hmm.
you might just have to hear that story that Nelson needs to tell you on the next one. And I got one that I want to bring up too that's been a big part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you should
So
join us. Join us next
you should
time.
join us on the journey
Yeah.
from the
Again,
heart.
we don't know what we're gonna call this, and we'll share with our current subscribers what we're calling this. But this is another branch of us. So
Right.
consider this kind of like the more in tune emotional side. You can connect with it. You can really get the core of who we are, what we're trying to get to, what we're trying to accomplish. And then with some of the other ones, you're going to get some of the more entertainment side, which is more of the humorous, more of the shit talking sort of thing. But either way, we thank you
We get
for
in the
listening
feels
to
once in a
us.
while.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and we thank you for listening to us. We thank you guys for supporting us. Um, again, like Brandon said, 34 followers may not mean a lot to somebody. It means a lot to us. Shit, just seeing one meant a lot to us. So, like if you want to share this with friends, family, shit, if you share with them because you want to tell them like that I'm a fucking idiot, that's fine.
Right.
Do it.
Like,
Share it.
look at these idiots.
Yeah, that's fine. Do it.
Make fun of us,
Yeah,
please.
that's fine. Like we want to I want to learn, and again, like I'm comfortable with who I am. That I want to get to that level.
I
And one
don't
of
think
the
there's anything that anybody can say to me at this point that I haven't already said to myself.
right,
Like
exactly.
negative.
Right. No, and like, one of the passions that I've always had was to develop people. Right. That is the thing that I've always hunted for in anything that I did. And I feel that I can do that through this. Maybe not on a one-on-one basis, but at least I can share my stories and I can like, help you
Well,
figure certain
here's
things
a
out.
funny thing, and I'd like to say thank you because you have helped me develop throughout this thing. Some of these things, the reassurance of you having the same trains of thought, some of the reassurance of you like, bro, you're whack for that. Like that
Yeah.
has helped me.
Yeah.
So in that want for you to develop somebody, I think it's very real that it is one-on-one between us as well as reaching out and trying to touch as many other people with that same thought that we want to help.
No,
We
absolutely,
wanted
dude.
to help develop people into who they want to be.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate you saying that. And like obviously it's a mutual. I thank you as well. Like the thing is that like you and I have a really good dynamic because of the fact that you see things from a different side than I do. Right. And like
But
there's
we
been times,
converge regularly.
right. And there are times where like I've said certain things and then you're like, no, like that, no. you you fucked up, buddy. Like you need to fix that. And then I go, fuck, I did. I'm gonna go fix it, right? And vice versa, right? Or there are times where you've gone like, fuck, dude, that was cool, right? And then like it allows me to also get the validation to go, fuck yeah, it's cool. Because again, right, as you get older and as you like, grow more into adulthood, there's less and less people patting you on the back. And sometimes
Right.
you just need one. You just need a fucking
Well,
pat on the back to say that things are okay.
and not to just give that when you call it out, but like, dude, I can honestly say, knowing you before we started this, and now the fact that we've gone through this, like, I'm proud of you for doing this,
I appreciate it,
for
man.
holding up to the like, like guys, I want you to know when we first talked about this, we set boundaries for ourselves because we know we're fuck ups.
Right. Yeah.
Like
We did.
before we even decided this was going to be a podcast, we decided like what kind of process would it be if one of us wants to quit?
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
had that conversation.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
to make it harder for us to walk away from something that we knew is going to help us. But I don't think either one of us realized it would come here.
No.
I really
No.
don't think that in that initial conversation, like, we had it all planned out. The other thing that is very important that I think that we planned out in the beginning, which we are going to hold true to, is we live in different areas, right? We told ourselves that we have to be face to face at least once a year.
Hmm.
Like we set up those kinds of boundaries, these elementary style boundaries, because we knew we were not shitty people, but we knew we were shitty enough friends that if we didn't write that shit down, then it wasn't gonna happen.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
guys, like to see that we had that conversation and now we've gotten to a place where we don't have to consider like we'll probably surpass that goal that we set for ourselves as well.
Oh, absolutely. Shit. Dude,
Like
I didn't even think that we were gonna like even
consistently record this.
yeah, I didn't think that we were gonna get past 3 episodes, honestly. On top of that, like the funny thing about this is the fact that like we were initially going to start doing YouTube videos. And then we decided that we were going to pursue the podcast route, right? Then we got feedback that podcast is great, but we were also very more engaging on a face to face, right? And this is
Right.
something that we've developed and kind of set the parameters for. But again, like this was something that it was never planned. It's just natural, right? And for me, like I don't see a therapist. I have in the past, right?
I have
They're
to.
they're they're a great resource, but to me, this is my therapy.
I,
Like,
I can honestly say, and this is no discredit to any medical professional, they go through years and years of training, spend tons of money on education. They probably understand it better. But I'm telling you, I've never had the same feeling walking out of a therapy session with a therapist, with a doctor, I've never been able to achieve the level of feeling that I get when I stand up and I'm done recording this podcast.
Absolutely. Yep. Hands down.
I've never experienced that. And I think it's the connection that me and you have had naturally from the beginning. Because so we know a lot about each other for like the wider details, even some of the bad.
Yeah.
And the fact that we know each other, there's always been an inherent honesty that you can't run from.
Yep.
That I can only explain as a family connection. And I don't mean to sound corny, like, oh, you're my family, but you are.
No.
Like,
I'm with you.
And I think that's a big thing. When you get to that level with somebody, that's a perfect person to talk to, because if I come to you and I say, hey, Nelson, I'm feeling really bad about myself because of blah, 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 and you're going to be like, stop being a bitch.
Right.
Like, you know how to deal with this. You've done this shit before. It's not that big of a deal. Stop being a crybaby and go do something about it. You know, like, or you could be that sound of reassurance for me in that time. Like, yeah, dude, what you're going through is really fucked up, but I'm here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that there's that unconditional part where even if I pissed you off or you pissed me off, it doesn't stop the fact that we would still continue to do what we were doing, and we would get over it.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And you don't in your lifetime really have that connection with too many people. I'm telling you, man, our relationship means the world to me. And so does this thing. And I think it's only getting better and bigger. And I'm excited beyond belief of where it's going to.
No, and seriously, man, I mean, this shit has been awesome. Like I said, my relationship with you has also improved, you know, and like, not that it was bad before, it just wasn't good, right?
Right.
And now, like, I think is great, right? Like, we're definitely getting to, you know, this place where we're both getting comfortable with each other. Like, we finally opened up to the fact that we wanted this, right? That was even something that I was afraid to do.
We were both kind of like, what do you think about doing a YouTube video?
Right. This was like
dumb.
This was like after
it might sound dumb.
Right. But this was like after 8 hours of watching YouTube too. Right? Like, I think you were like trying to convince me, like, hey man. But no, like, you know, like, I think, you know, for us in this journey, like, I think that one of the things too is that we talked about this in the first episode, where we just want to be kids, right? And by the fact that we say that we want to be kids is the fact that, like, when we are kids, we are receptive to anything, right? We learn, we grab, we don't judge.
We're also adolescent in our thoughts, where we don't have that pressure,
right,
to be something else.
Right. So,
like, we don't have the thirst for knowledge is so great that we don't worry about the possible negative connotations of looking for that knowledge.
Exactly. Yeah. So then
it's all in a positive manner.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. So then, like, what we end up doing is that when you take that step back and you become a kid, then you become more playful. You also become more accepting. You're also like, you realize that there are more important things, right? Like, yes, I could fucking sit here and dwell on the fact that, like, you know, Brandon didn't fucking send me a gift this week, right? Because we usually try to send each other some, like, once in a while. But let's say, like, I could be pissed at that, right? But I'm not gonna dwell on that. Like, that's stupid. Like, and that's what kids do. Like, kids don't dwell on shit like that. What they do is that they end up going like, hey, there's a slide right here. You trying to play on that slide? Yeah, that's cool. Okay, yeah. And then you forget about what the fuck just happened, because you're back to building your friendship. You're back to actually focusing more on the connection. That's what we're trying to do here, right? And, like, you know, like, and again, right, like, this kind of gives it a little bit of, like, the, I don't know if any of you guys have seen the movie I Love You, Man, right? Like, it kind of gives it like that kind of vibe. But honestly, that is something that humans need. Humans need those connections. Humans need, and the connections are different, right? Like, you know, you have, like, you know, like the friends that you will talk golf with, right? And you also have the friends that you're going to talk about murder with, right? Like, and those may or may not be the same. They may not, right? So, and it's okay for you to have the different levels like that and different connections, as long as you are getting fulfillment out of learning from them, and they are also getting fulfillment of learning from you.
Right.
If those things happen, then you're
when
in a
you're
healthy
being,
place.
and if you're being real throughout all of it.
Correct.
It like there are levels, there are acceptable levels to thing, and it's okay to not be, super besties with everybody, but make sure you're who you are.
Exactly. Yeah, dead on.
And be real with yourself too. Like that's been a big thing for me is like, yeah, that's who I am. Who cares? Like I've fucked up. I've done a lot of dumb shit in my life.
Yeah, same here.
But I'd like to say that I feel like I've been able to turn it into other positives.
Same.
Same.
So,
and this is one of those positive things.
No, absolutely. Dead on. So,
we got to keep you in a little bit of a cliffhanger for some extra stories for next time.
Yep.
But I think we've reached a good pause point for now.
I think so too. Plus, I'm fucking tired of rambling about the same shit.
Right. And I feel like we've unloaded a lot, and we need a chance to kind of, clear our own heads a bit.
Yeah,
it's a lot. And that's a big thing too, is let it go sometimes. If you got to say it out loud, I say it to a buddy. When that's an important part. I know I keep kind of dragging on, but I guarantee you that a lot of times in our life we've had those conversations with friends where our friends know that we're going through something, they don't know exactly what it is,
right?
And we've all reached out and had that conversation of like, dude, even if you just want to get a beer and talk about it, like I'm here. Be there.
Yes.
Do that.
Yes.
And then if you're one of the other people that's struggling with something on the other side, take advantage of that situation and just go say it out loud. Because if these people are offering that, they're at least, I can't imagine that somebody would offer that and then not really follow through with it if you told them that really meant something to you.
Right. Exactly. No, you're dead on, man. And like, again, the things that we're going to say here are certain things that, again, we're going to contradict ourselves on, right?
Right.
So I'm contradicting myself. Like, if I could reach out to somebody, I suck at it. You may be awesome at it. I don't know, right? But do it. Reach out. Talk to a friend. Try to build those relationships. And again, we want to welcome you back. Come back, join us, listen to our stories, share your stories. We like learning too. And if you don't want to share your story here on Blast, then you can, contact us directly.
Throw it in an email.
We'll throw out email
Tell us what you want us
on
to
this
talk
video.
about. Tell us what you don't want us to bring up. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. But join us next time. This is something that we're going to continue doing. Again, it's another branch of DMD. We don't know what we're going to call it yet, but you'll know here soon enough. So if you get a chance, subscribe, hit the like button, continue to support us.
Some comments, guys. Like,
yeah,
I want to take the time to just say thank you to all the people who've watched our stuff and liked it and provided the feedback thus far. I feel like we are constantly learning off of that stuff, and we're constantly making small changes. You might not notice it, but we are. We take that stuff to heart. We really do think about it, and we really do try to incorporate it into what we're doing.
Absolutely.
We love the ability to just continue to do this. So the more of you that really can give us a pulse, it really will help us as people to grow and learn and accomplish the goals that we want to. I mean, we can't do that without anybody else, because we really want to hear about it. We really want to see it. We really want to feel it. We want this thing to be as real, uncut, from the heart as it possibly can be, because that's what it really is to me.
Yep. 100%.
So, we love you guys.
Yep. We love you. Thank you. And we'll join you next time, or you join us.
Right. You join us next time.
So
don't forget your coffee.
Yes. Adios.
Adios.